So I'm not going to bore you with a history on Crash Bandicoot. There are plenty of videos out there already that do that, and certainly will do a better job than I ever can. But for me, the original Crash Bandicoot trilogy is one of, if not my favourite series of games, up there with Spyro and Uncharted. But sticking with Crash, throughout my childhood, he was an important figure. It was my favourite game series, and with Crash 2 and 3, it was games that I was able to beat and feel like I was good at something. But we must talk about the first one. It was never something I played all too often. There was no sliding, no double jump, and no bazooka. As a kid, I found it incredibly hard. I did manage to beat the game when I was around 10 years old, but it was never an easy ride. But then came the Crash and Sane Trilogy, featuring the first 3 Crash Bandicoot games. You can imagine that me as an adult screamed with excitement as Sonic's ass made its way into HD. The Insane Trilogy is a fantastic collection that will engage new Crash players and seasoned veterans of the series. As I said, Crash 1 wasn't a game I ever played too often, and after reliving the game through the trilogy, I can see why. The game is bastarding hard, and while playing through it, I decided to do a couple of top 5s of the best and worst levels in the game. Today I'll discuss what I believe to be the worst levels in Crash Bandicoot 1. Remember, this is my personal opinion. You may like these levels and that's great, but these are just ones that I personally just can't stand playing. So without further ado, my least favourite Crash Bandicoot 1 levels. Starting off with number 5, we have Cortex Power, and in reality I don't really hate this level, which is why it's ended up in 5th place. You're in some weird corridor area with lots of electric traps, machine monsters, pits full of acid that Aku can't even protect you from. Standard stuff though. The thing that really irritated me about this level was when I was going for the stage gen. Getting all the boxes in this place is a real ball ache due to numerous times where you'll get a fork in the road and you go down different paths, which means you have to backtrack areas multiple times just to get through this. On top of that, you also need to get the blue gem from toxic waste to even access one of these areas. I can't imagine doing this in the original game, where you pretty much have to run through this without dying and get all the boxes at the same time. Then, once you're nearing the end, the game throws this box bridge at you where you need precise jumping to avoid fucking up and falling into the acid, and making you play a whole lot more of the stage over again. Another level that I don't truly dislike, which is actually quite good when 2 of the stages in this top 5 aren't too bad. But this is Sunset Vista, or Vista. Easily the longest level in the game. Having a few longer levels isn't too bad, but this one just goes too far. I consider myself to be fairly good at Crash Bandicoot, but this level still took me 10 minutes to beat while recording the footage for this video. 10 minutes of carefully timed jumps, precise dodging of moving walls, and they fucking bats. There are plenty of checkpoints while going through this level, but that doesn't take away from the sheer displeasure this stage throws at you. As I said, I consider myself pretty good at the game, but when a level is as long as this, sooner or later I'm gonna fuck up. Which made going for the relic in this level a true nightmare. As I said, there's really nothing in this level that is a big problem, but if it was just even half the length, it could have been a lot better. Now we get to the anger-inducing stages, the ones that made me abandon this game as a child, and the first one is the fucking native fortress. God damn it, this level can go to hell. This is actually one of the earlier levels in the game. Up until this point, it's been plain sailing, jumping over small pitfalls, dodging simple slabs of rolling rocks, and spinning the crap out of killer plants. The boss level before this is even a piece of cake, but this is where the game decides to ramp up the difficulty. This is where you gotta grow a pair of balls and get good. Before this, it's kids play. Now it's time to be a fucking man. This level is a nightmare. From slippery platforms to arsehole natives trying to bounce you to your death, to the motherfucking fire traps, this level is brutal. The best parts of this level is when you get a break from the insanity and get to climb up the stage using these spinning wheels, but even this is a pain. You have to jump in these small bouncy crates and carefully get to the next one without fucking up completely and have to restart the whole process again. The worst thing is these 3 fire traps. These are by far the worst thing in the level. The first time I played, I thought the game was broken. There just seemed to be no way to clear this, but you actually have to time your jump so perfectly, you can barely make it. There is no half measures here. You have to time your jump at the optimum opportunity to make it through this, and if you fail, I hope you enjoy trying to avoid huge cactuses and man-eating plants, because you're gonna have to do it all over again. The lab is one of the last levels in the game, so it's fair to expect it to be challenging. But challenging isn't what they went for here. You have to avoid a lot of those electrical things I discussed in Cortex power. On top of that, there are exclamation boxes you have to hit to open doors and activate drawbridges. All of these are timed, of course. You also have these arseholes with electric hands that you have to attack carefully so you don't get electrocuted. Then there's the blobs. I don't know what else to call them. They bounce towards you and you have to jump on their head to get rid of them. Sounds simple, right? Well, they respawn, and the hitboxes on them is a joke. You have to be perfect or you're fucked. How about this part? Some seemingly innocent boxes placed. Oh, there's an exclamation box in there. There must be another one in this. What the fuck? A TNT? This is a classic example of the game just trolling you. It lulls you into a false sense of security with the first set. Naughty Dog wanted you to spin into that box, just to be dicks. Then at the very end of the level there's these TNT boxes making a bridge, which isn't really that hard, but you may not be able to judge the jump after the boxes too well to exit the level and end up falling to your death. This level sucks. Before we move on to number 1, I do want to reiterate that I do actually really like this game. Most levels can be challenging, but with a little practice, they can be done pretty easily. But there is one level that is so hard, it would make Danny Dyer shake in fear.
I'm fucking shitting myself.
Only by mastering Crash Bandicoot and every little thing will you be ready for this. The worst level in Crash Bandicoot is motherfucking Slippery Climb. Just saying it makes me feel sick. This is a level like no other in the game. This level could make even long-time Crash Bandicoot players like myself tremble. On one hand, it is easily the hardest level in the game, but challenge is good. It helps you get better. But this level took it way too far. To start off, the level is quite long by traditional Crash standards, which would be fine if it weren't for the lack of checkpoints. I'm sure there are only about 2 checkpoints in this level, and when it's this bone-crushingly hard, that's a problem. The stage enemies themselves aren't too much of an issue. You have these guys that look like Jafar when he was in prison that try to swipe at you, and you have these dickhead scientists throwing explosive test tubes at you. The real challenge of this level is the platforming itself. I've mentioned precision and perfectly timed jumps a lot in this video, but they're no more necessary than ever in Slippery Climb. Right off the bat you have to deal with these moving platforms that you can very easily miss if you don't jump right at the end of the platform's movement. You have these stupid stairs that keep going away, meaning you have to learn to jump on them before they appear again to make sure you have enough time to get past it. And then you have the birds. You have to jump on them to make your way across large pitfalls. The problem with this is, when you jump on them, sometimes Crash will go completely off screen. So you have to predict exactly where he is in order to jump into the next bird to make it across. There's also this horrible embryo level thrown in to make things even harder. And to make matters worse, this is one of the stages in the game that has a colour gem. In order to obtain this, you have to beat the entire level without dying, while getting all the boxes, including all the boxes in the embryo stage. Getting all the boxes anyway would be quite difficult, but you can't die? Ugh. This for me is easily the hardest Crash Bandicoot level I've ever played. You know, if the level just had a couple more checkpoint boxes, this would actually be a lot more manageable. Instead, you're constantly playing the beginning of the stage over and over again until you've mastered it. I like challenging a game, but I also like to know I can make a mistake, that one wrong button press or mistimed jump isn't going to severely punish me throughout a level. But maybe it's a good thing this level exists. I feel that just by beating it, it's made me a better player. That no matter what the game throws at me now, I'll be ready, and for that Slippery Climb does its job. But I still fucking hate it. Thanks for watching my top 5 least favourite Crash Bandicoot levels. Check back soon for my top 5 favourites in the game, which I'm sure is going to throw a few surprises. Is there any level you feel I've missed, or I was too harsh on one of the levels that made my list? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you again soon.